Hello, everyone. Welcome back to episode 8 of 90 Dots. Today's topic that we will be discussing is adults and teens' views on success. I'm Yana.
I'm Deepti. Yana, what's the first thing that comes to your mind when it comes to success?
Honestly, pressure is the first word because I feel like nowadays a lot of kids feel this pressure to be popular, to have good grades, and like to maintain a certain status. Yeah.
So, do you think teens and adults define success the same way or differently?
Definitely differently because I think for teens, it's more so like around like getting your grades good, sports, your education, and for adults, it's more like your job, like raising your kids. You have more like a balance.
Yeah.
You're trying to keep that balance, whereas for kids, it's more like you're just trying to figure out life, and like that's kind of how you're trying to view success.
So, I will say one thing like for adults that are on a healing journey, success is very different.
Yeah.
I think for them, success is more inwards, looking towards that mental peace, and not chasing like the high, the dopamine high, But for the unhealed ones, that's not the same.
Yeah.
So it's very different for someone who has achieved everything but is on a healed path, and for someone has achieved a lot and is not on the healing path.
Yeah.
They are continuously chasing the next best thing that's going to happen to them.
Yeah, I agree.
That brings me to my next question. If success was more about how it looks or how it feels, what would that look like?
I think with how it looks, it might be like job titles, like how you present yourself, like your job, how you raise your kids, like awards and the grades that you get for teens.
Mm-hmm.
And I think success is more loud, but it's also empty at the same time because it can be quiet, but sometimes.
You mean for the ones that are, again, it's for how it feels. Again, I would say it's going back to the healed and unhealed, right?
Yeah.
So, in your opinion, what does that look like when it comes to a teenage perspective that doesn't understand healing or unhealing, I guess, for that matter?
So you're saying how does success look for a teen? Like
how does success, I would say, is success more about how it looks or how it feels, in your perspective?
In my perspective, it's more about how it feels, because if you're feeling like you're doing the right thing and you're on the right path, I think that'll show how it looks later on. I think for different people, it could look differently. But I do think for me personally, I think how it feels is where it gets more measured.
In your generation, because of social media, I also think the way it looks has become very prominent, right? Like who won what award, who kind of climbed the ladder of success, who got into an Ivy League school.
Yeah.
These are all the way it looks, and it's in some ways it's great because you get like that really good perspective. Or I guess not just perspective. I would say it's more about, that achievement. You feel really good. And you should.
Yeah.
But if it's all tied to the way it looks, then I think that gets really hard on the teenager themselves.
Yeah, I think for people nowadays, it's more competitive for sure.
Do you feel like you're falling behind even when you're doing your best?
Yeah, when there's pressure, I do feel like I can fall behind, or when I'm worried about the future, it can make me fall behind sometimes. But I always try to keep up and keep going.
So what kind of pressure do you feel when you see others winning awards or having some kind of an achievement or trying to, outdo you in your head?
There's a mix between inspiration and insecurity because in some ways, yes, I do feel inspiration because it's like, wow, like someone else is achieving something super good. But it also sparks insecurity because it's like, if we're at like the same level, like maybe for like tennis or like in school, then how come I am not accomplishing the same thing that you are? So I think that's a lot of times the competitiveness that people feel, especially kids.
So then is school the only place where you feel like, your performance matters? Or do you feel like outside of school, there are other avenues where you feel the same kind of pressure?
Honestly, it's with sports too. It's with maybe how my future job will go. Like, I think a lot of people this age, it's more about how your future will look like and how success will show growth later on more than like specific like school things, but those do matter as well.
So how about in friendships and let's say mental health? Like how about those areas?
Yeah, in those areas, I feel like success is still viewed out like differently in both ways. But I do think I think in it happens a lot in your personal life where you try to measure your success. I think between school and personal life, I think success is something that you view out a lot.
So it's a constant, like
it's a constant measurement, honestly.
Have you ever felt that success was expected of you?
Well, in school sometimes because of the way that people like you grew up, like it was pretty much like pretty harsh the way you describe it to me and how you were expected these perfect grades. So I don't think that since you guys don't really put pressure on me, any of you guys, I feel like there isn't a constant need for pressure for grades and stuff. But I do kind of think like, oh, I should keep up this expectation, you know.
So if you had to not choose success, is that something you would do, or would you still choose success?
I would choose having a mix of both because not being successful in those moments where you make mistakes are where you find success at the end of the day. So I think at the end of the day, I think I do want success. Like I feel like everybody does. Yeah. But I do feel like having moments where you reach a low point or are not successful at something, I think that's what you really need to.
So don't be too hard on yourself if you don't achieve something where you're trying to be successful, but you don't.
Yeah.
Do you feel like adults really understand what it's like to grow up in the fast-paced, competitive world?
I think for adults, it was different growing up. Yeah. Like a lot of the adults I've spoken to, like for them, it was more of like an expectation to find success. Whereas now, I do think it is an expectation as well. Like it's competitive, but I think for us, it's less applied. I feel like there's a lot of students in my school who are like, they either like really want to reach success or they don't. I feel like it's like different. You know what I mean? Yeah. Okay. Now I'm going to ask you some questions. Okay. When you were a teen, how is success defined in your world? Like, has that changed today?
I would say similar to you, success was tying my achievements with medals and making sure I'm winning something or I'm doing well with grades. And so when I go home, I was looking for that validation from my family, right? Like, oh yeah, I actually got an amazing grade, or I won a medal in a track, or whatever that may look like for me. So I would say in the only thing that's different in your generation versus mine is that we didn't have social media.
Yeah.
So there was nothing to show to anyone.
Yeah.
Except our parents were talking about it with their relatives or, their friends. So that was their way of like showing us off and our success.
Yeah, okay, so that ties into my next question. Have you ever viewed success for validation instead of fulfillment?
Yes. When I was younger, I would constantly look for that validation from my family. And to be very honest, my family didn't care if I was into sports, actually didn't care. And so I pushed myself because that was the part of me that kept me happy, aside from, academics, sports was one where I found that liberation. Yeah. So being in a track team, playing basketball, playing badminton, these were all things that gave me like joy, and so, but I did look for that validation from my parents, and neither of them cared. So in some ways I do remember feeling a little bit heartbroken that they didn't care as much as I did. So I did seek for validation elsewhere.
Yeah. My next question is, how do you support your child's success without projecting your own fears and expectations? Because growing up, you talked about how you had a lot of fear over your parents not, like, you had to seek validation from your parents.
Yeah. I think what I taught myself is, or what I've also learned in my parenting journey is aligning my child with their goals.
Mm.
So I will always ask you, what is your goal?
Yeah.
Your goal is, okay, I want to win the next tournament. What are you going to do in order for you to feel successful in that tournament?
Mhm.
You're going to practice. You're going to, ask your coach where it is that you need help.
Mhm.
So that's where I would constantly, remind you to go back to what your bigger goal is.
Yeah.
And then work towards it with your smaller goals.
Yeah. As a parent, how do you redefine success for yourself outside of career and parenting wins?
So that's a hard question.
Yeah.
But the thing that I would say is, again, I'll go back to the healed and unhealed conversation.
Mm-hmm.
The unhealed part of me would be seeking validation, would be chasing success, would be not understanding, the alignment of what really success and happiness is.
Yeah.
In the healed version of me, it's more about healing old wounds, finding joy in the small things, achieving the small goals, the day to day small goals that I set for myself.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it is in the parenting world, whether it's in the business world, whether I'm helping someone, it doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
The small wins are now my success.
Yeah, that's a good way to put that. Do you believe that slowing down can be a form of success?
Oh, hugely, yes.
Mm-hmm.
Because you're not going to constantly want to chase this dopamine. You're going to get tired. Your brain's going to get exhausted. You're going to lose your vision, your focus on what you set out to actually achieve, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so for me, yeah, I 100% agree that slowing down is super important for every single person, including teenagers.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes you have to take that mental break.
Mm-hmm.
You cannot just keep studying and sitting in your room.
Yeah.
You can't just constantly be like, yeah, if I don't, study for 6 hours a day, that I'm not going to get something back in return, or I'm not going to get an A. No, you're going to tire yourself out, and you don't want to feel exhausted or burnt out at the end.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree.
Okay, so my turn.
Mm-hmm.
Can someone be successful and still feel empty inside?
Yeah, for sure. A lot of people view success kind of like a checklist, I think,
Mm-hmm.
because they think that the next win, promotion, or like the post going viral, anything like that, I feel like people think things that makes them feel like they're successful and like that's their whole. Like you.
Yeah, and it's this again, chasing success for validation is going to exhaust you. So eventually you're going to give up and you're going to be burnt out. Like I was just saying, you want to find that balance.
Mm-hmm.
What would success look like if no one else was watching?
If no one else was watching, I feel like I'd be proud of who I am because I wouldn't have to be seeking for that validation.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have to be always worried about what someone else will think my success looks like.
Mm.
I'll always just be pushing towards what I think my success looks like.
And for me, I think it would look very calm.
Yeah.
In my growing years, I would not want to go seek any kind of validation from anyone. So it would be a very calm way of like coming back to myself after winning a medal or a trophy or whatever it was, or getting, all A's.
Mm.
I don't have to show anyone anything.
Mm.
Here I am trying to show my parents, look, I did so well. Yeah. But if no one was watching, who cares?
Yeah, no one would know.
No one would know.
Yeah.
How can we measure success in a more soulful or fulfilling way?
I think by asking questions like how did I grow, how did I stay true to myself, not how did I seek the validation from others that I have been successful because they've seen it. Mm-hmm. I think tying back to the other question, no one else was watching. Like, I think if you view your success that way as if no one were watching, I think you would feel more fulfilled and you would feel more soulful about success itself.
Yeah, and for me, it's also now coming back to the whole, like, how you treat others, how you're living in the authenticity of life. Those are the small wins and the small things that actually lead to bigger success, right? Yeah. Because at the end of the day, if someone isn't talking well about you, then you've not done something right to them, right? Yeah. So that means you've either hurt them or you've done something where they don't find you, no matter how successful you are, they don't find you as a good person.
Yeah.
So who cares if you can be a good person, your success doesn't matter to me, or what you've achieved doesn't matter to me.
Yeah.
What would a successful day feel like for you as well as for me? So I'll let you answer first.
I think checking off my to-do list, doing everything that brings me purpose.
Yeah.
Like being able to achieve the goals that I never got to achieve. I think that would be what success looks like to me. How about for you?
For me, it is, I would say a few things. Did I listen to my body? Did I learn something new? And did I grow from what I learned?
Yeah.
And those are my ways of looking at success today. Everything else is a cherry on top.
Yeah.
These are I would say, the foundation for me to feel successful.
Yeah.
If you could rewrite the definition of success as a family, what would you say?
I think it would be to view success not as just being the best, but also being aligned with who you are and also having your personal goals be the ones that you want to achieve, not what everyone else expects you to achieve. I think success is something that we can learn from each other and we can connect to that and, share our opinions about our goals and without hating one another, without expecting something. I think as a family, if we do that, I think that would help us be successful.
For me, it's, conversations, time well spent, kind of laughing, having fun in the kitchen, or end of the night when you are, Miss Chatty Cathy here, like ready to go. Those are, like, for me, I would say that's success. Like, okay, yeah, I know I can sleep soundly without thinking like, oh, I didn't achieve something big today, but I did achieve all the small things.
Yeah.
And so that is what keeps me going.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for your insightful conversation.
Thank you, everyone, for watching. Stay tuned for upcoming episodes.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.